Hey, hey, hey. How's it going? Just want to point out, I say this a lot, probably haven't said it in a while. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just figuring things out. My brain works. This stuff isn't usually all that difficult, but you can't know everything. So this is why I have friends, and I make friends with people who know way more than I do. Case in point, Dave, our welder fabricator pal here, he's always helped me out, knowledgeable guy. Aaron Spoolstra. He's the guy who created Astro Safari World. I was talking with him yesterday, and Aaron is our Viking wizard Astro van guy. He's had like 8 Astro vans. And again, the 4x4 shop I went to, and I try to rely on what people are telling me that have shops that do things that I need to have done. One of the issues I've got with the van is, I'm modifying it, and I've got it higher than it needs to be. And the reason it's higher right now than it needs to be is because the build is not done. And right now, I've been waiting for quite some time for a rear bumper. I drew something up, designed it, worked with a guy back east, and he eventually made one, and he's supposedly sending me one. I can't finish and dial in this rear end to get my front end correct until I have that weight on the back of the vehicle. Because the spare tire is going to be up here, and then over here, there's going to be basically we're replacing the bumper. There's a frame system that comes up from here, that comes up along here and bolts to the side of the vehicle, and this is our swivel point for the tire and for the storage box. And it's a giant storage box. I believe it's 18 by 18 by 2 feet. It's huge. I should be able to put all my recovery gear in there. Now, every time I want to open the back hatch, I'm going to have to swing this out, I'm going to have to swing that out, and then open the hatch. And that in the city, it's going to be tedious, but it should be worth it. In the rear, and I'm also going to have to relocate the license plate. And in the rear box is going to be all my recovery gear. Jacks, fluids, everything I need, that sort of thing, which is going to clear out a ton of space inside the vehicle. Also, and I was supposed to do this probably next week, but because of the front end issue, I might not. I got to get up to George Caruso's Extreme Outback Products, and we're going to mount a compressor system underneath the vehicle. It's military grade, it's the best, and then I'll be able to air my tires up and down a lot easier. I can see here on this, just want to show you guys on the rotor in here, it's not deep, but you can see there's a couple marks, and that's from when the basically my caliper, my brake caliper, was holding the rear wheel and axle in from falling out after the Hooper's rear end debacle. I'm about to jack this up and pull on the wheels, just double check Performance 4-wheel drive, the work that they did the last week. Make sure that they're not pulling out too much, because I'm still getting a brake squeak, but I suspect it's up front. Also, you guys saw the extra play with the CV axle, and boy, did I go down the rabbit hole on this yesterday, and spent a lot of time trying to figure out, spin this camera around in the mount here, super pro. So as I keep saying, to me, that does not look extreme. Now the wheel is turned out a little bit right now, and I'm holding this pretty level, and you can see that angle there. It doesn't seem bad, but that little bit of an angle combined with the fact that I was wheeling real hard, it's one of those things. What they'll tell you is when that's straight, when that axle is perfectly straight, then the CV, when you're going straight, is just spinning like this, no big deal. Once you get an angle involved, it's oblong. It's spinning an oblong pattern, which creates way more wear. And, we'll see. But this, I really hope I'm wrong, but I'm suspecting, and I think that it's an assumption that we could go with. We'll know soon enough that when Hoopers did this and the way that they screwed everything else up, there's probably a problem with this front diff. That's what I'm thinking. Because that play that's going in with the input shaft seems odd to me. It does not seem right. It could be that the CVs I got, even though they were labeled as new everything, nothing was remanufactured on them. I got them from Rock Auto. Could be that. Could be that. George mentioned, and then Aaron mentioned to me yesterday. I spoke with both of those guys that there's a company, I think it's in Illinois, RCV, that they make super heavy duty custom work axles and whatnot. So I'm going to call them on Wednesday. Of course, this always happens on a Friday afternoon or when there's a holiday coming. And now I got to spin my wheels overthinking something, waiting for a business to open because everything's closed right now because of the 4th of July holiday. Happy 4th of July, by the way. Go out and shoot some guns and drink some beer. Just make sure it's not Bud Light. Yeah, so I'll know more Wednesday. My plan is I can easily replace the CVs. I've done it before. You've seen me do it. I can replace my CVs in 2 hours. No sweat. But because of the play that's going on where it meets the drive shaft, where the CV input goes into the differential, I'm suspect there's something wrong there. So I would prefer to either drive it down, which I might do, or tow it down because it's covered under my insurance, back down the 4-wheel performance and say, hey man, Ken, you do me a favor. The axles are cheap. You can buy them. I can get them for you, whatever you want. Sorry, I was just eating peanuts, almonds. Could you crack this thing open for me? I want them to inspect the front differential and make sure that that was all installed correctly. And if it is, then we'll probably just go ahead and put some new CVs in that are cheap. I told you I got a set here I could rebuild, but they're so inexpensive. My time is better put to work. I got a lot of work to do in here. And roll with that temporarily. I'm going to call the RCV guys and see if they could make me, from what I'm hearing, I didn't see it on the website, but what George said to me is that they make axles specifically designed, CV axles, specifically designed. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know. I'm just going by what people tell me. But I've been told that they make CV axles that are specifically designed to work on extreme angles so that they don't wear out as quick. Also, Aaron pointed out, now George thought that the S10 IFS trucks, IFS stands for independent front suspension, that have a similar front differential, he thought maybe because they are 4x4 from the factory with selectable 4 high 4 low, that possibly those differentials came in cast iron and maybe are more robust. I've discovered that's not the case. All the ones I found are aluminum. I asked Aaron, he confirmed that. However, Aaron pointed out that, I hope there's nothing in my teeth. You're not going to see some professional TV personality cleaning their teeth while they're doing an interview or talking to the camera, right? You only get that here. So as I was saying, turns out that there is a S10 transfer case that had this neat thing. You guys tell me if it's a good idea or not, but there's like a manual, I guess it's vacuum controlled disconnect. So you can disconnect the front drive shaft from spinning. Now, people claim if you do that, it's supposed to give you a little bit better fuel economy. I don't know if putting that in is something that is dangerous down the road or if it would stay locked. If it stays locked, it doesn't matter because that's how it is now. Right now, when I'm driving down the road, the front drive shaft is always spinning. So if I could get one of those transfer cases, that might be interesting. The other thing is, what people have been talking about is dropping. It's called a cradle drop. Other people have mentioned to me just lowering the front differential. There's more to it than just lowering the front differential because when you crank a little bit on the torsion keys, it's a whole thing with the control arms and everything. And I don't know that there's a kit made for this vehicle. However, the late 90s K-Series or the Silverado 1500, a lot of the front end matches up. It's the same control arms and all that. And there's a company, Rough Country, I think it's called. They make a kit for that. I don't know if those components could be used on the Astro or not. Probably not. I understand that it makes sense to want to lower that to get your CV straighter. Okay. But here's what's going to happen. I'm going to talk to Ken over at Performance 4-Wheel. I'm going to crank that open. Either that's a problem and we're going to fix it, or there is no problem and then we're going to put new CVs in. I'm going to call RCV and see what they have to say. If they have a better quality CV to work with my situation, and I'm sure I'll send them pictures, it could be $1,000, but I'll splurge and get those axles, hoping that they're better made and they're not going to wear and they're going to last longer. And I'm going to run with this for a time. But what is going to happen, I've already made up my mind. We're going to go with a straight axle swap on this thing. My pal Phil back home, who's supposed to be sending me that bumper, he's got a welder fabricator and he put a Jeep axle in his. Now his is a second generation. The issue with the third generation is the larger wheel 6-lug bolt pattern, because the Jeeps are 5 lugs. Now, what you could do is you could take the axle from a Jeep, you can weld up the holes, put the punch out the studs, weld up the holes, and then remachine it for a 6-lug pattern, and then you could actually figure out a way, either replace a part or maybe find some electronic converter or something so you could still make the ABS work. So that's a thing. People have discussed it. I was actually texting with a guy yesterday about it, and he actually makes a kit for Tahoes. Tahoe overlanding. Check him out, man. This guy he's doing some pretty cool stuff with that, with what he's doing. He's using a Dodge from a 2000 to 2001 Dodge straight axle to put them in the Tahoes, and it's a pretty wild system he's come up with. That it just has a whole bunch of. Look, here's the deal. There's so much involved to make independent front suspension work, and it's great for the street, but it has many limitations when you get off-road. And I really think that what happened here is it's a combination of, it could be a combination of 3 things. Possibly there's something up with the front diff because of hoopers. It could be that the CVs that I put in there aren't that great. And then the hard off-roading I did out in Death Valley, which I know to some of you didn't look bad on camera, but it is way worse when you are there. And that could have happened. And I'll tell you, the clanking I've been hearing since then, and sometimes when I hit the brake, I hear a little bit of a clank, and that's all the looseness in that CV joint up there. So we're going to get this sorted. But I'm going to need a Jeep front axle. I'm going to need leaf springs, all this stuff. I got to put a parts kit together. I got to talk to Phil, maybe talk to his fabricator, get a list, get pictures from him, and then I'm just going to make this happen. I'm not screwing around anymore. I plan on taking this thing back out to Death Valley again, to the hot springs, and I'd like to go out there for like 2 weeks in November. I want to drive this thing up to Alaska, possibly in September. I got a lot of work. I don't know. It's hard. I've got to put my nose to the grindstone. I have to be able to make enough money to afford all this stuff in the first place. Anybody want to any big companies out there watching? Do you get a kick out of me? Do you watch me and laugh and point your fingers and make fun of me and everything? If I'm giving you enough entertainment, maybe we should talk, because I could use some sponsors for this freaking job. I've been doing all this on my own up until now. I don't know, man. Here I am. I don't like asking for help, but I'm telling you, this is not going to be a cheap job. And also, Dave offered to do it. Dave has a set of axles that he wanted to put in his van. Friggin' Dave, he's like, no, we should do yours so we can make all the screw-ups on your van so that I know how to do it right on my van. Good thinking. However, the thing with Dave is he's got so many projects, I just don't want to put him out. And, hey Dave, you remember 5 months of engine vibration because those brackets were off, man. What I'd really like to do is come up with enough coin, get all the parts together, talk to Ken down at Performance 4-Wheel Drive down there in Bellflower, and pay him to do it. It's a pro shop. They'll get it done in a timely manner. It'll probably take them a week or less. It'll be done. It'll be done pro, and if there's any issues, I can always bring it back to them to have them dial it in. That's where my thinking is. So this van is about to become like a real 4x4 vehicle. I'm done screwing around, man. I can't take it anymore. You know, once you go with a straight axle, no more CVs, man. No more differential issues in this fashion. No more torsion keys. No more torsion bars. You lose. It is going to be phenomenal, right? So you're going to lose both of these torsion bars, all these control arms. Everything goes away. You just have a straight axle going across front. Not only that, I can get rid of this cross member, make another one that's straighter across, so I end up with more clearance here. So you actually lose a hair of clearance because with a straight axle you got the pumpkin in the front, but you just gain so much in articulation and less issues down the road, less moving parts. That's huge, man. Those knuckles on a straight axle way stronger than what we got here. So that's what's going to happen. Stick around for that. And again, hey, if you're in the Southern California area and you've got a Jeep axle sitting around you're not doing nothing with, that'll work on this thing. I don't know what year and model, right? We're going to have to figure all that out. Maybe I'll put a parts list together and then do a video. See if anybody's got anything. Maybe we do some bartering. I got a lot of crap I got to get rid of. Speaking of, I spend way too much money on stuff I don't need. I've been doing some videos on neat stuff I own. I've actually purchased a few things recently because I like it. It's cool and I'm going to do videos on it. But I'm realizing what's going to happen when I kick the bucket, man. You know, I make this joke with my neighbors all the time. You know, I could have a friggin' coronary while I'm, you know, pleasuring myself or something. What happens if they start smelling something? And so he goes in my apartment. I'm just naked laying there, you know, with a handful of coconut oil. So who's going to go through all my... Sorry for that image, man. I'm having fun with you there. But I got a lot of stuff. I talk to my sister about it all the time, and a lot of what I own is worth money. Even I've got artwork that's worth money. I've got first edition books. I've got records. I've got a lot of stuff that's interesting and cool. And I'm thinking I can't take it with me. So there might be another thing happening with the channel where I might start showing stuff off. If you guys want to make me an offer, you can make me an offer. I mean, as long as it's small enough to put in a normal box, I could ship it just about anywhere. I'm not big on shipping bicycles and all that. People ask me all the time for that. It's too much of a hassle. But if you're in Southern California, we could always work something out. Anyhow, I know this is all over the place, as are most of my videos. I apologize. Just make sure here. I wrote a bunch of notes. These are my notes from yesterday. I'm so pro. Let's see here. What did I write down here? Okay, S10 disconnect front differential. We went over that. Cradle drop. We went over that. The Silverado. Agile four-wheel drive. I'm supposed to call some guy named John on Wednesday and talk to him, I guess, about the axles and the RCV thing. Okay, I think we covered everything. Probably just go with the Dana 44. That's what those Jeeps are. It'll fit. I don't think a 60 will fit underneath there. And I was told, and this is me, I was repeating things people told me, which we all do. It is not the right thing to do most of the time. I was told a while ago by somebody who said, look, your front end is just as good as a Dana 44. There's no point in going to a straight axle unless you're going to go with something better, bigger, or stronger than a Dana 44. After what I've been experiencing and going through the CV issues and everything else, that's bunk. That is nonsense. That makes no friggin' sense to me. If you're only on the street all the time, your independent front suspension is going to be fine. You can always deal with it. You could do a cradle drop. You can figure that out. If you can't buy a kit, you can make something. You could do all that stuff to keep independent front suspension. But you still have ball joints, upper and lowers. You know what I'm saying? You still have control arms, upper and lowers. You still have all those bushings. There's all those things that you've got to deal with. You've got the torsion key issue. When you go with a straight axle, I'll have leaf springs in the front. I'll get a decent shock up front. Everything is going to be better, I think. I guess you'll correct me if you think I'm wrong, because that's how you people are, some of you. Anyhow, have a great day. Be good to one another. Come back often. And if you feel like helping a brother out, man, I'm just sitting here. It's hard to deal with this and have this on my mind when my mind needs to be focused on a project where a 1/16 of an inch matters with wood, and there's no such thing as a wood stretching machine. So I need to be really focused. Also, you'll notice I have all my digits. That's because when I turn on power tools, table saws, band saws, whatever, I imagine my hand going into the blade, fingers and blood flying everywhere, and that's why it doesn't happen, because I think about that every single time I turn the machine on, and I'm focused. And it's hard to be focused when I'm dealing with this crap. In particular, when it's something I paid somebody else to do that's screwed up. I'm still pissed about those assholes. Anyhow, once again, I'll see you guys in the next one. And once again, remember, always be kind. Always be good to one another. I'll catch you guys. Did I say I'll catch you guys in the next one yet? Because I think I said it about 5 friggin' times already. Bye. It's not over. It's not over. That's why I check this. That's good. I mean, that's very, it's like a 1/16 of an inch there. Yeah, an eighth to a 16th to an eighth. Doesn't feel like it's moving very much. Let's see what the other one looks like here. Let's try this one out. Yeah. Feels about the same to me. If I had to guess, if one was pulling out a little bit more, it would be the other side, but very, very, very small amount. Anyhow, peace of mind there. Don't feel funny about, like, when you bring your vehicle in somewhere, to double check what was done. Eyeball things, grab, reach, look for leaks, all that good stuff. There's nothing wrong with that, you know. And by the way, you guys don't know, I actually picked up the vehicle and the socket for the lug nuts. I left it there, and I spoke with Ken's son, Chase. Super cool guy. Got it in the mail. I had it in 2 days, and that was important to me. Now I'm signing off. I'll catch you guys later.